What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the premiere video for Rock Branded, where rock bands come to get rock solid brands. The topic of today's video is how to look at your music as your business. First and foremost, every business has some sort of brand. You know what I mean? Something that about it that's recognizable. If you've never walked into a McDonald's before and had a McDonald's fries, you will recognize the Golden Arches. The Golden Arches are recognized all around the world because of good branding. You have to do the same thing with your band. You know what I mean? Your band is your brand. It's your reputation. It's what represents you. You need to look at your band as if it's your brand. So now, as with any good brand, a good brand has got to provide a good product. These are two things that are elemental for any business that's starting out. You have to have brand recognition and you have to have a good product or a good service or a good whatever to deliver to your customer. So if your band is your brand, then obviously that makes sense that your music is basically your product. So what is it about, what do you have to consider about products? You want to have a product of the highest quality. Now, how are you going to have a product of the highest quality? Obviously, the music has to be impeccable. You guys have to know as a band, you guys have to be able to play together really, really well. So if your music is your product, you need to practice consistently to make sure you're delivering the best product that best represents your band/brand. So yeah, that's my advice. You always want to practice consistently. You may think that you guys practice enough, but trust me, you don't practice enough. Trust me, you don't practice enough. You need to practice more. Trust me, you need to practice more. Trust me, just trust me. Now, as a band, you're going to have maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 different personalities all working on one product. You guys have to make sure that the labor is kind of divided up evenly. Not only just for playing music, but just making sure that the band is successful. Maybe somebody might have more connections, so he tends to do most of the booking. Someone might have a better grasp of social media, so he takes care of all the social media stuff. Someone might be artistic, so maybe he takes care of any of the design. Like, say, maybe if you guys are making a flyer for some of your shows, or perhaps you're producing an album and you want to do the CD cover or something along those lines. So you guys will eventually kind of figure it out and flesh it out, but don't be afraid to look at it as an opportunity to also make some money on the side, because since you're a quote-unquote brand now, not only are people going to be paying for your music, but they can also pay for different types of merchandise, which will help promote not only your product, which is your music, but also your brand, and help give you that brand recognition that we were talking about earlier. I tend to go to extremes with everything. I tend to go all out. Instead of doing just merchandising for Realistic Industries, my brand, I went as far out as to say, like, you know what, I'm just going to create a whole fashion line, and I call it Swagger Cult. So you guys can go to the extreme that I go to, or you can just do your own thing. Historically, music has typically been the type of deal where a band starts getting some sort of local following to the point where they get the attention of a particular record label. Those days are kind of going away. I'm not saying they're gone completely, but not as many bands are going to come to success that way. If you have these ideas that you want to get millions of fans and sell out arenas, that's great. And that's something definitely to strive for. That's the ultimate goal for anybody. Anybody who picks up a guitar wants to become a rock star. But at the end of the day, take into consideration the fact that it's like, you don't need to have that many fans to make a good career in music. If you take the 1,000 True Fans theory, or the 1,000 True Fans method, if I'm an artist, say for example, and I work my social media, I work the internet, and I get 1,000 true rabid fans following me for either my Rabid Underworld, Realistic Industries, the Rock Branded line, whatever. If I get 1,000 true fans who are like my real fans, like they basically hang on every word, they're my rabid fan base, and I can leverage for them to pay $100 a year on my product or some of my merchandise or whatever, then I've essentially made $100,000 a year. And I'm not selling out arenas all over the country. I'm not going on tour like 10 months out of the year to promote an album that I spent like $500,000 producing at the studio. It's easier for a smaller local band to create a smaller local following and build from there. You know, wouldn't you be satisfied making $100,000 a year? I would imagine that you would, especially if you're doing music. You know, who would pass up an opportunity like that? And as a young band, you have this opportunity to build that fan base. 1,000 true fans is not really that much. If you really think about it, if you have 4 members in your band and they get 250 people each to try and, you know, really get behind the band, and then you have them coming out to your shows, you have them buying your t-shirts. Just look at it this way. If you pick one true fan out of that 1,000 true fans, and they buy a $25 t-shirt from you, then they spend $14.99 on your CD release or your download, shipping included. And then they come out to see you perform 4 times. Every time they see you, they spend $15 each for a cover charge to get into the venue to see you. They just spent $100. If you get 1,000 people to do that every year, which is it's not super easy, but it's easier than selling out an arena and selling millions of copies of CDs, especially in this environment these days for record labels. Your band just made $100,000 a year. You know what I mean? Look at it into perspective. You don't need millions of fans. You just need 1,000 real, true fans. And these might be people that you interact with on a daily basis. You know, between Facebook, the internet, social media, all that. So think smaller rather than thinking bigger. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified every time I upload new videos. Hit me up over on Instagram. My DMs are always open. And what do you guys think? Do you guys have any kind of advice you'd give to musicians as to how to turn their music into their product and how to look at their band as a brand? If you do, leave a comment below and let's get the discussion started. I'm John with ROCKBRANDED, and thanks for tuning in.